Hello and welcome, Kevin. We are here to talk all about the full moon in Scorpio, and we have a new guest with us today. We have Makayla of Embodied by Mac, and they're really wonderful astrologer that reached out to me, and we just had like a very long conversation off air, all about the astrological world and relationships. And I'm so excited to bring her here today for all of you guys to meet her. Hello, Makayla.
Hi, Lovey. Thank you for having me today. You can see my dog is joining us in the background right now.
I know you look so cozy and cute. My favorite colors, pink and purple.
I
Um,
know we're
I love
matching.
that there's some matching going on. Yeah,
Yep.
I love it. The cosmic, it looks very cosmically cozy.
Yeah, I try.
Well, this is a pretty big lunation, so let's get the chart on the screen.
Yeah.
We're gonna break it all down, guys. Yeah. What are your thoughts on this full moon? Are you nervous? Are you feeling positive?
I'm feeling pretty positive. I always think that the Scorpio full moon of the year is intense, or at least it has been in my world. But I think this is a good opportunity and a point in time as we're entering, Uranus being in the early degrees of Gemini, and then also approaching Leo, Jupiter moving into Leo this year, and the nodal switch happening this summer. I think it's a really good full moon checkpoint to see where you are with your own personal limitations.
Yeah.
And yeah, so what I mean by that too on a deeper level is that Taurus Scorpio axis, like we've discussed, is about your security, personal security, your resources, your assets, and also your ability to feel comfortable sharing that with somebody else. Um, Being willing to be vulnerable. It doesn't have to just do with your own personal resources and money. It can do with your sense of self-value and your time. And are you willing to expose some of that to somebody else or share that with somebody else or not? Are you willing to merge with somebody else on that level or not? This
Yeah.
can play out on like many different levels. Of course, we'll go through like where this is happening in people's personal lives, but I think this full moon's a good spotlight to see where are your limitations right now? Where might you be either protecting yourself too much or maybe having to set up a little bit more of protection resources. It could swing both ways, but really that's what that illumination is for, is to bring something into the light.
Hmm.
And it could also be a closing aspect, to be a moment of closure for some people, not just an illumination. Maybe some people are letting go of some things that they've been holding on to too tightly. That
Yeah.
comes to, their self-worth and their self-respect, or a lack of, right? Could be an
Yeah. I definitely agree. We're going to get into the aspects in just a moment, but I'm just thinking about how there's this T square that's happening that we're going to talk about a little bit in a little bit, and how Pluto is really at the apex, right?
Yeah.
And so Pluto in Aquarius wants to have change. It wants us to come together. It wants to build community. It wants to find some sort of unity. But that can be very challenging as it squares the sun and the moon, because the sun is literally the ego, right? And it's our identity and how we see ourselves. So it can feel a little bit like ego death, right? And then you have the moon, which makes it all the more emotional. Full moons tend to bring out our like werewolf moments, like where all of these emotions that have been just underneath the surface, especially in Scorpio, being underneath the surface, being underground, it's all of these things that maybe perhaps we even suppressed, that we didn't want to deal with, that are coming out. And I'm almost imagining like steam rising, like almost a pressure cooker. And I also am thinking about it in context of the last new moon, which was kind of difficult. We had the malefics getting together with Mars and Saturn. And so a lot of people in my own practice have been dealing with a lot of health issues, a lot of friendship breakups, things kind of, expiring past their warranty, so to speak, right? Like,
Mm.
whether that's a friendship, whether in my case it's my teeth, I'm going to have to get some dental work done, literally some Saturnine stuff coming forward.
Mm.
And so there can be a little bit of grief, I feel, in this full moon too. But I feel like you know, um, a lot of times when we're angry, when we're frustrated, it's unprocessed grief, unprocessed sadness. And, it's much easier to feel anger sometimes than it is to feel sadness because anger, can vitalize you. It can put you into action. Like there's something you can do when you're angry. Like, it gets you out of bed in the morning, gets you motivated. It gets you want to like, I have a dear friend who is a Scorpio moon, and she always says that she moves out of spite.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
and that's it's very much a Scorpio moon is like, I'm fuck you, I'm gonna go and do this thing and prove you wrong, kind of thing. And so it's interesting that a lot of people have been kind of coming in and they're just like, I can't, these old coping mechanisms, these ways that I've been operating, they're not working anymore. And so I'm gonna have to like come in and change some things up. And luckily, Uranus is going to be moving into Gemini this week, which only happens once every 7 years. So it's beginning a brand new cycle, which is perfect because we need change. And so as it harmonizes with Pluto in Aquarius, along with Saturn, which is in Aries, it's going to make a beautiful sextile there. There is a lot of, we're going to have to like put in some work with Saturn, but if we put in the work, we can create some change. So yeah, I was looking at the Sabian symbol for this degree, and it is a brilliant assembly of officials at an official embassy ball. And when I went to Linda Hill's website, her interpretation, which I love a lot, is this symbol implies the ability to mix with people from all over the world, to talk in different kinds of languages, or travel in circles of the elite. There's probably an issue about being invited to the right functions, or that you're sure of being on the list of those who gather to make decisions or call the shots. Enjoying social situations can be rewarding on many levels. However, the conditions may sometimes be caged rather than strict protocol and rules of behavior that you and others adhere to. Look at yourself and observe whether you are in your natural self or if you're putting on a show for others. This can imply social climbing or political strategies. And she always puts like a low octave things to watch out for, like the shadow elements. And that would be political game playing, manners and protocol, who knows who and what it's worth,
Mm.
being able to speak everyone's language, and issues of being invited, etiquette, and dressing up. I thought it was interesting. This also is happening on Katy Perry's Mercury exactly. Just this like this litigation has come up with Ruby Rose.
Yes, yes.
And then also her ex-husband is in the spotlight right now for being a complete, well, POS, let's just say.
You're so gentle.
Yes, much more gentle than he was with a 16-year-old girl. But yeah, yeah, we're starting to see people. This has been like a little bit of an unveiling, I feel like, also in terms of like masks off, really seeing people for who they are. One of the predictions that I was seeing online at the beginning of the year was, 2026 is going to be the year of exposing the grifter. And we've been kind of seeing that like especially over the last 2 weeks. The Katy Perry thing came out. There was a whole controversy with therapy Jeff. I don't know if you saw that. um, but this guy is an online psychologist. It turns out he was being a little creepy.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
and so using, his power, his Scorpio,
Mm.
abuse of power comes as no surprise, Jenny Holzer, right? Like, so yeah, that seems to be true. So I wonder if there's like, a little bit of a power struggle going on as people are fighting for their ego?
So absolutely, and reading this Sabian symbol also just is making, and with all these stories you're telling me too, is really making me think, well, if we look at the traditional ruler of this Scorpio full moon, it's Mars. And I
Hmm.
find Mars in Aries really enjoys fighting for the underdog. And
Yeah.
so we're going to see a lot of, again, secrets do absolutely come up. Things are exposed under a Scorpio full moon. So, if your motivations behind your actions and your intentions behind your actions have been pure and to your best benefit with the knowledge and your purest intentions, right? Then you don't necessarily have something to worry about under this Scorpio full moon, right? I don't want people to listen here and be like, "Oh my God, what is this going to expose of me?" Because it's not that. If you've been somebody who's been malicious and undermining other people and doing things in secret that is hurtful and painful and vengeful, then a Scorpio full moon comes and exposes that side of things, So I think it can, and this is reminiscent of this Mars is also semi-square Uranus, which I think is a very secret aspect that maybe not a lot of people would notice, but that semi-square between the ruler of this full moon to Uranus just fresh at 0 degrees of Gemini, there's that
Mhm.
stimulation coming in with the shocking information or the shocking gossip or the how people can be very loose-lipped with Gemini sometimes. We've got Venus in Gemini, so we've got this, kind of chatty, things could get spilled out very easily under this lunation.
For
But
sure.
if something's coming up, I think intense in your life, it's a good reflection again, just to come back to, hey, like where are my values? Where's my self-worth? Am I with groups that are reflecting right now with that, right? Square Pluto. Am I with
Yeah,
groups? Am I with networks? Am I with alliances? Am I with the right friends who are where I want to be for the rest of the year?
for sure. I feel like this could be the most challenging for people who have Leo placements around those, maybe anywhere from 4, let's say, to about 14 degrees or so, because you guys are really going to be at the apex of, I mean, well, the apex is at um the apex is Pluto, as we said, but you guys are the missing leg, so to speak, of this T square. So
Yeah.
it feels like a lot is kind of aiming at you, like there's a finger wagging at Leo placements right now. So I'm curious, if you are somebody who has Leo placements right now, tell us down below in the comments what's going on, how are you feeling. The good news is you could be, the person that comes in to solve a problem during this period of time. You could be the solution to an ongoing issue. But if you are somebody perhaps who isn't really doing that work we talked about or being honest, the finger wagging could be in your direction, you know? So I feel like, Leo placements are probably going to feel the brunt of this.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay. So we talked a little bit about the T square between the sun and the moon. Is there anything else you kind of wanted to add to that?
Yeah, so I'm looking at the yod from the moon, Venus, and Saturn.
Hmm.
So, I think that the Venus-Saturn connection here is going to hold people to some sort of responsibility if something comes up, right, or information comes up. And it could be just things that you agreed to with Venus and Gemini. Could be things that you agreed to that you said you would do, maybe a decision you're making at this time. Again, I usually like to look at Gemini placements as, oh, we have choice, or we're gonna have choice at least in some area dynamic going on. I just tend to find that the Gemini planets will give us an option. So you might even be presented with an option to share your truth or say something that you need to say or expose a feeling or invite an opportunity for you to be vulnerable for you to get what you want or where you need to go. And it could be a hard conversation, but there's a harmonious aspect between Saturn and Venus. So this could be a very stable, grounding, nurturing kind of, a parental kind of way, conversation and communication and agreement between you and another person where maybe you harmonize on something that you were disagreeing on into this point, right? Or maybe you come to an equal agreement that is acceptable for both people on your both of your terms.
Do you think this is the energy to have a difficult conversation, or would you recommend waiting?
I would recommend if you do want to have that conversation with somebody, deeply reflect on if their emotional maturation can handle it on an intense day like today. And
Yes.
and then if not, wait a couple of days, right? For
Yeah.
at least you had the illumination, and then you can prepare how to interact with that person or situation. But if you really want to do something that's in your best benefit, of course, as well. So just, yeah, reflect like, can this person handle this? What's their normal reaction like? How are they going to act? And then you can make your maneuver that way.
Yeah. Sorry, there's some fire engines going on over here. Can you guys hear it?
No, not on
Okay,
my
good.
end. Not on my end.
Zoom has gotten good with like blocking that out. Like it was screaming children in the hallway, followed by fire engines. Okay. So, okay, we also have Mercury, which is conjunct Chiron in Aries at the
Yeah.
27th degree. That's a very tight conjunction, too. So, I feel like that's also going to play a significant role because Chiron has a lot to do with our wounds, right? It is the wounded healer. And Chiron isn't necessarily like about necessarily healing something and making it go away. Chiron is the wound that never really goes away, right? And it has a lot to do with rejection as well, where we feel rejected by others, where we reject things in ourselves. Oftentimes, this can bring up, and I think with this full moon in particular, because the moon and the sun are involved, because it's a full moon, especially with Pluto, like,
Yes.
um, there can be themes of feeling rejected by family. This could bring up if you have rejection issues with like your family of origin or sibling or even a friend. Mercury can bring up, people in our day to day minutia, right? So we can be dealing with a lot of insecurity, I feel like, during this full moon. I think this full moon will bring up insecure. I mean, Pluto is our insecurity, right?
Yeah.
And with Chiron, it's where we feel rejected. Um, so Chiron isn't like the wound that, is going to heal magically with a conversation. It heals because it finds other people that have gone through the same trauma. And the triumph is that talking about it. It is, not necessarily being able to fill the wound, the hole with glue and you're fine and you're back on your way. It's about, it almost has like an Al Anon kind of quality to it where you go to a group, you find other people who've had the same wounds as you, and you heal through that connection.
Yeah, that's a beautiful point. Especially with, just being sensitive to that Chiron point right there with Mercury. And also Eris is in the mix. I don't know if you use Eris. But these things can be triggering,
Can we
with,
talk a little bit about Eris? Because I don't think that most of my folks here might know Eris is the goddess of discord. Okay, just sorry. Just wanted to say that.
yeah, no, it's fine. It's totally fine. Yeah, so she's been known to just say something into the mix essentially. I like to describe it like this, like you might with an Eris situation, right? You might be hanging out with your best friend and your boyfriend bought you flowers and then you get in the car and you're like all happy and she's like, "Why are you so happy? Why are you smiling?" And you're like, "Oh, well, my boyfriend just bought me the biggest bouquet of flowers." But meanwhile, she's irritated because she got into, World War III with her partner before she picked you up. And you're kind of just triggering her unknowingly. And,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's kind of how Eris kind of comes in and operates. It's like you just say something and you don't even mean to trigger something, but it's there with Chiron. So it could be doing that under this one, or someone could do that to you. So it's also have that patience with other people. Um,
Yeah.
we do have, Mars almost exact square Jupiter that day, so we can have big reactions. We can be sensitive. We could have those big reactions.
It could be about the principle of the matter kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I think with Mars square to Jupiter, I have a lot of friends that I actually have a Mars square to Jupiter, and I have a lot of people in my life who have Mars conjunct Jupiter. And so you can get very self-righteous with this transit, your high horse, And so the things that are likely to irritate you, they might present, as you said, like as something very surface level, but it's so deep, right? So if you find yourself in this situation, let Uranus going into Gemini, be your guide because curiosity is your friend in those situations. Getting defensive is not.
Yes, yes. And that Uranus is squared the nodal axis now.
Yeah.
Right. So, we're still dealing with this Pisces Virgo nodal axis, which has felt like forever. It's just
Yeah.
been like for me, it's been like the longest node time in a sign. I'm just like, when are we over it? But yeah, it's like, so in EA, at least, we'll go to, there's a node that we have to go towards, and from the EA, the evolutionary standpoint, we would be going towards the north node here, which is that the ruler of that is that Neptune in Aries. So here maybe we should have compassion for people, standing up for themselves, taking up space when they need to. Also compassion for you if you need to stand up for yourself and take up space. And
Yeah.
yeah, and really softening the approach as an Aries. I could say that many of us probably could have needed this Neptune to soften us for a little bit, because there is definitely a point for Aries to be as abrasive as it can be at times. But Neptune really comes in and lets us like have compassion, and then lead from, a heart-centered place in any situation we're moving forward to.
I love that. And while Mars is separating from Saturn, we have the conjunction with the new moon. I
Yeah.
feel like that, the new moon might have shown us where we had to have boundaries or where we had to begin doing the work in some capacity within our lives in the Aries section of our house. Maybe it was a health thing. A lot of people I've noticed have been having a lot of health flares with that.
Yeah.
Things that they've been putting off, like going to the doctor, going to the dentist, they're starting to flare up now. You can't avoid it. So there's like this acceptance that maybe is happening about doing the hard stuff, or an integration, I should say. There's something hard that we maybe had to begin at that time. And so it could also just feel like we got a big weight off of our back. We're probably not going to feel that the night of the full moon, but I think in the days following, there might be a sense of relief. It feels like a werewolf moment where you have a big blow up with someone, but hopefully it gives a little bit more clarity. And even in the worst case scenario, I feel like there's a spotlight, I guess is a great way of putting it, on whatever has been revealed by the full moon is really showing you what an x-ray of what it actually is, whether that's power dynamics, whether that is the resources or needs that we need, where we might even just like manipulate, like. And by the way, we use the word manipulate sometimes and people get really defensive because they think it's a conscious thing. Manipulation isn't always conscious. Everyone on this planet manipulates, like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's how we get our needs met,
Yeah.
and sometimes that's appropriate and sometimes that's not appropriate, when we get into a fawn state because we've been attacked or we people please, that is a form of manipulation. It is self-protective. It's not always nebulous. Sometimes, Pluto stuff can be nebulous. It depends on where we are in our journey, and that's the beauty of agency. Our chart, we get to decide what we do with it. Not everything is, there's no good or bad in astrology. It just is, and what we decide to do with it. It's kind of like Top Chef. You get a bunch of ingredients, but
Yeah.
you get to decide what to do with it, guys.
Yeah.
So, I've seen plenty of people who've had very malefic aspects in their charts, but they've led like very beautiful lives. People will talk about Mars Saturn being like one of the hardest aspects that you can have in a chart, right? But I was just finishing up Melissa Oftemer's autobiography, The Bass Player for Hole and the Smashing Pumpkins.
Ah,
And she had an alcoholic father. Saturn can be the father, who was like a fighter, but he also championed for women's rights, and she became like a very staunch feminist and an idealist because of that. It also gave her great technical ability to play the bass professionally, especially in a band like Hole, where there's a lot of emotional warfare going on at all times and lots of drama. It allowed her to have this stoicism that she's very proud of, to be like the light in the room, in the room of darkness, and brings them some of her fairy spirit to the world.
yeah.
Mars Saturn can be very beautiful too if you know how to channel it appropriately, right? It can give you that stoicism, that acceptance to do the hard stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. That is absolutely such a beautiful explanation of that. It truly is. And,
Yeah.
we are in the times that we are in right now, which is crazy and chaotic. And I think people need that strength between that combination. We need that strength. We need that strength to rise up in our lives and also as a collective. And again, like you said, we can do whatever we want with our natal chart. We can do whatever we want with the intentions, right? So it's just check your motivations, like where are your motivations coming from at the end of the day? If you feel like your need to movement or create change or say something or step up or go in a new direction or let somebody go or let somebody in, whatever comes up, as you put, I love X-ray under this illumination, just check where your emotions are and check where your motivations are. Are they coming from a place where you can still support yourself and it's in the best benefit for the foundation of your life, coming from that Taurus side, and meeting your own needs first and then being able to be vulnerable and share with another person in a very positive way? Because the positive thing about Scorpio is it teaches us about intimacy.
Yeah.
And, we can't do things alone in life.
No,
We
we
need,
heal in community. We heal from sharing.
right. So the beautiful outcome of that, becomes like, well, you could have this new elevation or revelation around bonding
Yeah.
in some
I'm thinking
capacity.
of the word emotional investment. Like, where do we want to emotionally invest our time, our energy, especially with that square? And I also just think that, like, if there are underlying issues within our lives, there's an awareness, and as Oprah would call it, an aha moment that might be coming in. Um, yeah, where it's going to shed some light on maybe why we've been experiencing a particular problem in our lives. Again, that whether it's a power imbalance, whether Pluto can sometimes just be very literal, like maybe there's something going on in our bathroom, like some plumbing issue, right?
Yeah.
Realize it's because, oh, when they were fixing this thing, they put the pipe this way, so we just got to replace this pipe, and now it's going to fix all of the water in the building, right? Like,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
can be a Pluto, that could be a very literal, mundane Pluto thing, right?
Yeah. Maybe you
Or,
find like the hidden cash box from 1920. Like,
yes, let's hope it's that. Let's hope
yeah.
it's that, right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Leo friends, you have to tell us what's going on, guys. If you have like later Leo placements, like in the 20 degrees, you're probably not going to feel it as much. I think it's going to be more those middle degrees that are going to feel it. And like anywhere again from 4 to like about 14. What do you think about that? Like, is that a good estimate?
Yeah, I think that's a great aspect. And I'm also wondering, do you think it's a prelude to the
The
nodal
Leo
switch?
eclipse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could be, my friend, could be, because there's a solar eclipse we'll have to come back to talk about this
Yeah.
summer. So, what needs to change, Leo friends? And what are we going to do to get there? Someone's going to family therapy, I think, maybe. Because that could be Pluto. Pluto
Yeah.
can be therapy. Oh my God, that is my piece of advice for you guys. Go to therapy this week because Pluto will pluck something out. I
Or book an
actually have a
astrology. Book an astrology reading.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, those types of things, like that is the great thing to plan, that like get a tarot reading, get an astrology reading, go to therapy, like find people that can come in and shed light in your life. If you have to make an appointment with a specialist, I think it's really good for that. You might not, it might not be I don't want to say that it's going to be like the worst news in the world, but I think you're going to get to the root of whatever it is. It's a good time to find healers. And if you have friends, if you have people in your life that are healers, astrologers, especially with Mercury conjunct Chiron, this is a good time to talk out some
Yeah.
things with them.
Yeah.
So let's dive into horoscopes. We're not going to dive super deeply today, guys, because We're just running a little bit on time today, but I do want to kind of get into the core things to look out for each sign.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like starting with Aries rising, this is happening more intensely for you guys. This is happening in the eighth house. This is happening where you merge with other people, your shared resources, your psychology, the things that you don't necessarily want to deal with. Taxes could be a very simple way that this is coming up for you, or paying off debts, right?
Yeah.
Where you're merging with other people. What are your thoughts on Aries rising? What are some of the themes that you're a Libra rising, so I'm sure you have a lot of Aries risings in your life. What are you kind of seeing?
Yeah, I agree with you on all the finances stuff. It could be around, what you owe to other people or what they owe you. This could be connected to your friend groups because the Pluto square is coming from the 11th house. You could also be getting maybe resources from maybe you've done some crowdfunding or maybe you've done some fundraising of some sorts and you're seeing the effects and the fullness of that as well. If you're equated with any of that or any like philanthropy kind of organizations that maybe were involved in fundraising and whatnot. But mostly on the deeper emotional psychological level here, really ask yourself, what have you been holding on to from somebody else? And maybe this is an opportunity for you to like let somebody off the hook. Um, a friend or a loved one, a personal relationship, or at least release something for yourself and that becoming the medicine for you under this lumination. So you could get pressure from like your community. It could also be like the community that you make money through. So this could be affecting your finances just because I look at the 11th house also as a money house as well as the second and the eighth. So, there could be a release of some sort. And if you've been working on something that you think is transformational and beneficial for other people, it would be a good day to launch it, honestly, because then you would be, sharing something, asking for the resources from your customers, your clients. Maybe you could create some kind of fundraiser effect for that, down the line, the money raised for this could go to something else. But yeah, that's basically what I'm seeing for Aries rising.
Stuffing a piece of chicken in my mouth because I haven't eaten dinner, guys.
Oh, that's all right. Do you want me to do Taurus rising?
Yeah, but I do want to say one thing about Aries rising.
Yeah,
Sorry, guys. I got caught eating.
so funny.
Please don't mind. Sorry, I was eating. We found an alien in our building and I got sidetracked
Oh
today.
yeah,
Can we
that's
talk
right.
about this?
Yes, we should.
Okay. So I went downstairs before Makayla and I were supposed to meet today. And I thought I was only going downstairs for like 5 seconds, because I was gonna quickly eat before we chatted. And the front lady, or the front desk lady, Linda, who I love, shout out to Linda. Linda told me that there was an alien in the building, and I looked at her like thinking she was being funny. Turns out there's some sort of weird object in our parking lot right now that looks like a maybe 6 or 7 foot bat hanging upside down, and we can't identify if it's an animal or what it is. But there's an unidentified object hanging from the rafters of our apartment complex right now, and it kind of looks like a demon.
You're gonna have to attach it to your Patreon community so that they can see also.
Yes, we'll have to get an update. I'll have to let you guys know. If you want a demon update, just send me a DM on Instagram. We'll let you know. Anyway, so I got sidetracked by the demon.
So funny.
Okay, I've swallowed. Okay, so Aries rising, the other thing I was going to just think, if you've been in some sort of power struggle with somebody or someplace where you've had to hold boundaries in some way, where they're consuming your energy or your resources, anything like that, I think this can be a powerful time to maybe get that frustration out in like a creative way. And I think that's where like the missing leg kind of comes in through the fifth house. So I wonder if there's like a creative project or some, like, it's almost like, if you're a musician, writing an album about the hardships that you've gone through and finally getting it out, and like some like channeling a masterpiece. Or even just if you're a consumer, you're going to a concert, or if you're going to see some live music, I wonder if it's a good opportunity to like blow off some steam from some of the things that have been kind of building up for a while. That's all I was going to say.
Yeah, that's good.
So
Yeah.
tap into the missing leg, which is in your fifth house, which is creativity and the inner child. Do something in this 2 week period that lights up your inner child.
Yes.
Okay, that's all. All right, why don't we go into Taurus rising now? Okay, so Taurus rising, guys, this is happening in house 7. So this is really relational for you. I feel like Taurus rising is becoming a lot more clear headed about what their personal needs are, the direction of their life, and who they really want to surround themselves with, not just romantically, but also platonically, also in terms of any sort of business partnerships. You guys have really been going through it the last couple of years, but I think you're finally starting to stabilize. So I wonder, because this is going to be a little bit more intense for you, if there's something going on in your life or partner's life that is, maybe a much needed conversation about home, about family, about priorities kind of coming in. And like maybe again, the missing leg being in the fourth house, I wonder how much of this, like solution wise, has a lot to do with the past, or has to do with like looking at our family of origin, or deciding where we want to be foundationally. And maybe this is a good time for having a really strong conversation about the changes that you would like to make in your life, especially as Uranus starts to move into your second house. Your finances, your self-worth is changing. You're going through this brand new adventure. Uranus has like definitely changed your life over the last 7 years being in your first house. So it should be a little bit of a like a pressure valve kind of finally being released. But at the same time, there's like a grounded kind of energy here too of like what needs to be firmly planted. And I think a lot of Tauruses might be moving, like, or they might be committing to a new partnership or something, in terms of the home, in terms of building a new family, and creating a pathway for them. And so I wonder too, like, if there's some important conversations that are coming up in terms of those fertile foundations and what we're going to maybe see start to get planted at the second half of the year.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. This is, and I definitely for Taurus rising and in Taurus sun, I think this is a prelude to that nodal switch coming up. So you definitely want to hone in and be super specific with those partnerships, even business partnerships and your close one-on-one friendships that you're in with right now. And are they serving you in that direction that you want to move forward in? Because your 10th house is getting a power boost now, and it is going to transform you on the public sphere. And that can definitely be home and relational things that are also about to transform. It's not something to be scared about, but something to really step into because you're really meant and born to be embodied in this empowerment journey. You are one of the stronghold signs of the zodiac. So, and you embody value, you embody worth, right? You embody that building up of something that you have done. So, this could rock the boat in your life when it comes to you and other people, but it doesn't mean that anything has to end. It just means that it could transform the way it looks under this full moon. And that could be really beneficial for your upcoming cycle you're leading
I
into.
agree. I agree. Taurus, let me know down below what's going on in your life that you would like to, like, what are your intentions right now in terms of building a new home for yourself, a new family for yourself, a new way of being. Um, I also think if there's, for Taurus rising, if there's been family trauma that's come up in recent years, this could be a cathartic time for healing.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay, so we've made it to our Gemini rising, friends. This is happening for you guys in house 6. What are your thoughts in house 6?
So, whoo, yeah. So definitely your health and wellness is getting illuminated under this. This is a great day to see if there's any toxicity going on in your daily rituals what you're eating, what you're ingesting, even the clothes that you're wearing, the water that you're drinking, kind of double down on all of these daily rituals to figure out, is my body operating well? Am I on the right path? Like, what am I choosing to ingest? What am I choosing to do each and every day? And is this going to deplete my energy because that could come up under the full moon? Or is this showing me that it gives me more vitality and strength in the long term? So it's just a double down on, are the people that you're working for, is this like a vocation house? So this could be you working for somebody else. Or if you have your own business, you could have employees that work for you that you deal with on a day-to-day basis. Are they
Mhm.
draining you? Is that draining your routine as well?
What are
So
your habits? Yeah.
yeah. So, Scorpio full moon can be about eliminating something, especially in this Virgo house, this natural Virgo house. So maybe what needs to be eliminated for you right now. Um, and having Uranus enter your first house, this is super powerful because you will probably make a lot of changes to your physical body and your physical health routine just because Uranus is going to want that innovation and that upgrade. It is about your identity in the first house, but it is also correlating to your body in some ways as well.
Yeah, it's almost making me wonder like if you are dealing with some burnout or something like that, like if there's been like a lot of, especially with Mercury having been conjunct Neptune at the new moon, that can often cause a lot of anxiety, like because Neptune is like all the different situations that could potentially happen, right? Like you start to imagine them, and that's where anxiety comes from because you're way too much in the future, right?
Yeah.
So I would really look and see, like, look at your coping mechanisms, you know, like, see what might be quietly kind of wreaking havoc on you, because this could be the full moon to be like, I finally quit. And so watch out for like inflammation or like stress or just like the things that you do, kind of like, even if it's like compulsive, like scrolling online, you know, uh, it's going to kind of it's going to shed light on like the toxic dynamics that you have that might not always be, we think of addiction a lot of times as like smoking cigarettes or drinking alcohol, but addiction can also be just being addicted to stress, like addicted to worry, addicted to like, am I going to have enough this paycheck, living in scarcity, like, I'd also say like there's something to be said for your work life too. Like it can kind of maybe expose where there's some power struggle or like people kind of trying to like manipulate you or maybe undercut you what you deserve to be paid. Or where there's just maybe like some unspoken like resentment. Like where are you giving more than you're getting, right? Like, or where are you stuck in like a dynamic that feels, weirdly addictive and draining and all those things that can lead to like burnout. I think,
Totally.
yeah. So like, there's something that needs to change, but it's like something that has to do with like the more mundane areas of your life, like cutting something out, setting a boundary, admitting that the way that you've been living on the day to day might not be like as sustainable. So something kind of has to change. Um, if you're willing to be like kind of honest with this full moon and like what those things are, though, I think it can really like it can be that can be like the thing that gets you your mojo back, right? Like
Yes. Yeah.
so it's just about being really honest with yourself and like what needs to change.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Is there anything else that we wanted to talk about? I guess the missing leg for that is house three, which really speaks to, again, another more mundane area of your life where you're talking to friends, where you're communicating, like your day to day minutiae is the third house, it's the culture around us. So lean into friendships, that feel really safe, if you're feeling really burnt out, talk to your other like, neurodiverse baddies in your life and be like, how do you keep up? Like, what works for you? How do you stay organized? Like, what is it? Like, or what helped you quit smoking? What helped you quit, scrolling? Do
Yeah.
you use any apps? Like, those are the things to really to dive into. And I think there could be like a healing conversation with a friend that comes in too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because the curiosity coming through the third house of what works for other people could be super helpful.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then there's also like a big buildup of planets in your 11th house. So it's like,
Yeah.
connect to other people when you feel down or if you feel stressed. This might be as simple as being like, work is a lot right now. I really need to catch up with my friends and go get margaritas and just have a good conversation and blow off steam.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fresh margaritas though. No, no toxic, no toxic things.
Yes, we're
Yeah.
we're we're not doing the skinny girl shit from a bottle.
No, exactly.
We're gonna use fresh agave.
Right.
We're gonna use lime.
It's
Okay.
the little things in the sixth house.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so Cancer Rising, guys. This is happening for you guys. Where is this happening? This is happening in the fifth. So this is a little bit more fun for Scorpio or for Cancer Rising. So, this has to do with your friendship. Well, it can be the people that you get together to partake in your hobbies with. It can be your love life. It can be your children. The inner child is all the fifth house domain. It's where you go to express yourself. I actually feel like Cancer risings might have to cut a bitch. Like they might have to just excuse my language, guys. I This is what happens when I eat fried chicken for dinner on a Friday. I get snappy. Especially when there's aliens in my building.
Well, they could. It could be like a very intense, maybe dating issue going on, or it could be, this is the night you get lucky, right? Like,
Ooh, yeah.
yeah, like
Play the
this is
lottery.
right. Play the lottery for sure. But this is also like the night where you're like, oh my God, I unexpectedly got pregnant under this,
Oh
you
my
know?
goodness.
Yeah.
Be careful you're not chasing the whale, as they say.
Yeah, it depends what your intentions are. Check your intentions and your motivations. It's
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes. But I think that overall, more seriously, this is a time where your needs in terms of self-expression, in terms of your inner child or perhaps children are coming to the surface. Maybe there's a conversation you need to have with your kiddos. Maybe there's a conversation like this could be a good time for family therapy. This could be a really good time to find a family therapist if that's something needed. Or if you're having a difficult conversation with a lover or a difficult time with a lover, or with a friend in your life and there's like some weird power struggle happening between you guys, or maybe like you think someone's mad at you but they won't tell you why, right? Like maybe this could be a good time for a really healing conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. That transformation could definitely happen, especially coming from the Pluto in the eighth. So if you really are trying, maybe you want to level up the intimacy or the pleasure in your life and you're ready to, take it into its next phase, you can just lean into vulnerability. And it could be hard with a fifth house Scorpio full moon. It could be hard to expose yourself, what you want, your creative, playful side, or have a difficult conversation with a child, right? Or about children, or about wanting to have children, maybe with your partner. Maybe you're wanting to expose that on this illumination. Those vulnerable moments of what your heart truly desires can be difficult to have, but it could be really promising if you are ready to step up to the plate for that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is there anything else we wanted to add for you guys? Are we good to go to Leo?
I think we're good for Leo.
All right. So Leo, this is a little bit challenging for you. This is happening in
Yeah.
your fourth house of, your private life, your home, your family, and your emotional foundation, Um, so I'm just gonna be blunt. There is something going on in your inner world that's just like not okay right now, and it's probably getting a little exposed. And again, that T square is kind of poking at you. So if you have planets at those degrees we discussed earlier, between like 4 and 14 degrees, it's really going to be hitting you hard. So there can be like some sort of tension in home or in family, something that me I don't feel like this is new stuff. I feel like this is stuff that might have been building for a while. So maybe there's like some old family wounds that are getting triggered. Maybe there's resentment that maybe you've swallowed in the past, but now you just can't, you're having a werewolf moment and you just can't deal with it. There can be a realization that maybe your living situation, it doesn't feel safe or stable or something that can be contained anymore. So I'm wondering what it is getting pulled up at the roots, right? Like this feels like a gut rehab of your life. So you might feel more intensely during this 2 week period. You might feel really triggered. You might be having to look at like some really uncomfortable stuff like old dynamics, childhood dynamics, control issues, power struggles, where did your power struggles come from or your need for control come from, right?
Yeah.
So there can also be grief, like if there's something that you have been just trying to like work through and just like move forward with, like it's actually kind of pulling you back into the depths a little bit. So there's something about the past that you can't unsee with this energy. So maybe that looks like I have a lot of Leo risings in my life, so maybe this is like accepting that a parent or a family dynamic is not what you need it to be. Maybe this, I don't want to scare anyone, but if we do have like a parent that is getting to that age, this could be the realization that, they're not going to be around forever, or, confronting the fact that maybe you've outgrown a version of yourself to your parent, having to stick up for yourself or seeing them in a new light that's uncomfortable, or maybe they're having physical pain. Like Pluto can be pain. So something is shifting really, and it's shifting in a way where it's very rooted in who you are and who you've been. And so this is going to feel a little trickier for you guys. So the one thing that I want to say is something you kind of touched on earlier, is that emotional honesty that needs to come out. Like this is energy that has to be very honest, not only with others, but with yourself. You can't build something stable on top of like an unstable foundation, or like maybe that's like emotional denial or something, right? Like, or maybe that's literally like, if it's a more mundane thing, it's like finding out the foundation of your house was built on an Indian burial ground or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there, I want to also say that there's an opportunity here. Like this could be the type of moment, if you're willing to take that agency, to rebuild these things if they're not going well. Like if you have an issue within again, that family therapy thing that we were talking about earlier could be really helpful here.
Yeah. Yeah, something like Leo rising is like, don't let the hard things cut you out from your light, because you do have that natural generosity and that illumination wherever you go, and yeah, just wherever you go, you bring that generosity, that light, that shine. And it could be taxing, definitely under this illumination. And the sun is exposing all of the weight that you're having to carry up in the 10th house right now. So we want to let you know that that's acknowledged. And if you need to pull on some strength, you have all the Aries placements illuminating that ninth house right now, where you could reach into your belief, you could reach into your faith and use that as something to drive you forward, because sometimes it can't be so tangible. You have to go back to the basics of, what do I believe in, right? What do I believe is impossible? So if cycles are ending, things are changing, and it seems unfair, or it just seems painful at times, reach into that ninth house and reorientate yourself with your higher power, your higher self, and figure out where you can draw on spirituality or faith, religion, like whatever your calling is. Look for an answer there, and let that be a guiding light for you. And also, you've got support coming from the 12th house as well. So you might have, support in mysterious ways with Jupiter kind of transiting through there, kind of having your back when you least expect it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so Virgo. This is happening in house 3. What's going on? Okay, so this might be, your siblings, your friends, your neighbors, the culture around you. There's something shifting here. Um, so if there has been tension with friends or with siblings or within, your personal neighborhood, that could be coming to the fold at this time. Again, this could be a time where there's some difficult conversations that you need to have with somebody or really express yourself. If there's been like a power imbalance, this might have to be like, sticking up for yourself a little bit, right? Like
Yeah.
having to state a boundary or to speak an emotional truth that's hard to say. Again, this could be a really good time to find a therapist. Or to have like a very meaningful conversation if you already have a therapist, or like, again, that Oprah aha moment thing can kind of come up with this. But I feel like there's something with your thinking that's about to shift dramatically.
100%. And also, you have power in your voice when you can claim it with the Scorpio third. So it might trigger other people and other people might not like it. And, that can be hard for a Virgo rising to deal with because if things get too complicated, then it feels chaotic for them. And that's rightfully so because they don't really want to deal with that chaos. They're not born for that. And your words can be striking here if you really do say the thing. And I think Virgo risings can have a very sharp communication, but it's a full moon. So it does mean that something needs to be expressed, something that needs to be released. You can think about this as, a detoxification through your throat chakra, through verbalizing something. It can be quite painful to bite your tongue only for so long. And it's not saying like use your, harsh killing words. I'm not saying that, but like find a
Sharp
way.
words are coming out though, regardless.
Right, right. Because Virgo it can do that. It definitely will get you right where it hurts because it has that uh, sharpness, that precision, if you will. So, maybe there's a different way to express. Maybe you can write a long letter. Maybe you can only say half of what's in the letter, but there's some kind of, I agree, communication release dynamic going on within either it could be even your neighbors, but your small community, mostly your siblings, maybe childhood friends you grew up with, or maybe even friends that feel like siblings.
Yeah, for sure. Is there anything else we wanted to add for Virgo?
Um, I would say that the sun in the ninth is illuminating your beliefs here. So it's also a good time to go within and really double down on the strength of your beliefs if it's hard for you to communicate.
Yeah.
You can have that strength here. Like, I believe I'm right. Like, and you could be, I believe this is wrong. Like what, where is that coming from? Where is that stemming
A
from?
Virgo rising, never.
Right. Right. So,
On that high horse, never.
never.
Yeah, as a person that has their midheaven in the ninth house in Taurus and is a Virgo rising, these are the only battles that I seem to get into.
Oh, that's so funny. So humble.
Stand on business, guys. That's my piece of advice.
Yeah.
And tap into the missing leg if you need to tap into your spiritual practice, or if you
Yeah.
need to tap into a little bit more sleep so you can avoid the phone and having to deal with that psycho sister of your. No, I'm just kidding. I'm almost actually thinking cord cutting could be really good for this. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like maybe
Yeah.
doing a cord cutting ritual.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Start with the demon and the hanging from the base.
Yes. Oh my goodness. We're gonna find out that it was like construction work or something, and it was never a
I hope
demon.
so, girl.
So disappointing.
I really hope so. If not, it's a good reason to move.
The next time you see me, I'm on Ancient Aliens.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Someone called Tom DeLonge because there's an alien here, guys. Okay, so I'm gonna let you take this one because you're a Libra rising.
Yeah, okay. So Scorpio rules our second house. And this is coming up probably your resources and your assets and maybe how you're making money and how that's looking for you at this point. Maybe what you own, where you're heading in your life. I mean, this is just some personal changes for me, but like What do you have? What is worth keeping? What is worth not keeping right now? Because, the second house is where we have our possessions and we might hold on to them. And it's a Scorpio second house. So Libra risings like their possessions and they like to hold on to them. And attachment can be a real thing. And it doesn't mean like luxury. It can mean like a vase that you just cherish because it's so beautiful and you don't want to let it go. That's just on a very like basic level. But like what deserves, to stay and what could maybe be released to make some space and room. This is also a testament, I think, on a very deep, deep level, your self-worth here and your attachment to your self-worth and how you earn money. So you might be transforming how that's looking in the next couple of years ahead, and you might be planning for that. So, you know, Pluto in the fifth house is definitely transforming how you creatively work, how you creatively play, how you want to express yourself. There can be vulnerabilities to showing up like that, which could be affecting your money. You could be questioning yourself. You could be not questioning yourself, maybe diving off the deep end. It could feel like death. It could feel like you're just literally death is upon you every time you expose yourself and you try to, but it's an invitation to, I would say, cut out the noise and the naysayers, just play to play, create to create, right? Build a community if you want, reach into that 11th house, because I know that's what they're striving for. And to know that, this self-worth journey is a personal journey and it's a personal journey for everybody, but especially for a Libra rising with the second house, your money, and you can accumulate a lot of wealth, is going to be based on your values, right? So this could be an upgrade, if you
Yeah.
will. Yeah. So it is a powerful time, I think. Like you could just shed a lot of things that have held you back from maybe upgrading yourself in this personal autonomy space in your life.
Yeah, I love that. I have a few Libra rising friends that are on like the precipice of like really amazing art projects, and they know that they have to get it done. They have a lot to like write about or draw or plan out. It's just like they're waiting for that moment for it all to hit and just get to the paper kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like this could be it.
Yep. Yep. It's scary because it affects their money.
Yeah.
Just like Aries, but in a different way. But, I would say take the risk because that Pluto in the fifth house is risks. It's gambling.
Yeah.
So there's an extra amplification there on that.
Yeah, your voice is powerful. Your self-expression is going through a period of transformation. I mean, I just got out of that transit. And so everything about my fifth house shifted. My relationship with my friends shifted, my need
Mm.
for depth. I did go through some trauma. And what that really brought to light was the need that I needed more trauma informed friends. I needed
Mm.
people I can have deeper conversations with. And I just felt very unsatisfied, um, romantically, platonically, being in relationships with people that didn't understand my Pluto issues, whether that was grief, whether that was my intense, couldn't hold my intensity. And I think a lot of the Libra risings that I have been going through this kind of period of time where they're like, I need a partner, I need a friend, I need people in my life that really get that part of me, especially as they've like, maybe developed their spiritual practice or, changed their belief systems in some way or gone through trauma. And I think it's about really connecting with the right people, and finding people who can hold space for that darkness and help you turn it back into light.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, all right, Scorpio rising, you're the main character. Yeah. What are your thoughts on Scorpio rising?
Well, yeah, so first it obviously affects, I think, their body in some way. So, their body spotlight is coming up. Um, it could look like Scorpio doesn't like to be in the spotlight. They like to hide. So they don't necessarily like a full moon on them. And so it could be like that werewolf thing that you're talking about, they could be like running from the spotlight under this and like I don't want to deal with this. Like But this could be like a breakthrough kind of energy for them on how they're showing up with their commitments and their relationships with other people. Maybe where they should brave into vulnerability a little more. I know a couple of Scorpio risings who have been through the ringer with their relationships, and I know that they've been hiding when it comes to allowing themselves to be vulnerable again. So this could be a testament for some of them that it creates a loneliness and an isolation if you don't allow yourself to be vulnerable and trust again. So, and I also like to think of the first house as just being courageous and brave in something. So this could be illuminating you to look at yourself and where you're at, where you went wrong and learn from that, but know that that's not a reason to not trust or not be vulnerable moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like there could be something coming up in terms of a relationship or in terms of how you're also like, because anytime something's happening in the first house, it's also happening in the seventh house too. So there is some sort of dynamic that is happening here where there's maybe perhaps some change in the foundation with Pluto being in the fourth house of like who you are becoming. You've had to go through all of these transformations. Again, another sign that's been pretty activated, and like especially if you're in those earlier degrees of Scorpio, and then you have like Pluto also squaring your ascendant, which can be very tricky. And like that's a period of time where all the foundations of your life are starting to change. You can't go home again, right? Like that's the theme here. And so I sort of wonder if the person that you're becoming, the person you're transforming, is also changing your relation again, like kind of like Libra risings, where there you need people that can hold on to your intensity with a bigger scope, and they're not going to just get up and leave. You can really like trust them that they're going to stay through the hardships, right? And so I
Yeah.
wonder if there's also, you guys are no strangers to having to, some dark thoughts and intensity. So I wonder if there's, a little bit of a werewolf moment coming, and like something is coming to light. It's almost like, again, what you deny, what you hide, what we deny from ourselves always comes to the light of day. So you gave an analogy earlier, which I really loved, where it's like you get your boyfriend gets you flowers, and you're in the car with your best friend, and she's having a fight with her boyfriend, and it's like triggering her in some way. Here comes the fire engines again,
Oh
and
my God. See?
like I
Oh
can
my
tell it's Scorpio
God. Yep.
emergency. Oh, those aren't fire engines. Those are police engines.
Oh well. Yeah.
They're like in harmony with each other today.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. The dual sounds is always really hard for my ADHD. I like lose track when they're speaking or when they're going. See, I just did it. I said the wrong thing because the freaking engines. Okay. So, yeah, I wonder if there's like some sort of triggering conversation that maybe comes up around the time of the full moon, but it's also, again, at like an aha moment. I think this is a really good time for therapy. This is a really good time to like speak to your Chiron people in your life, the people that are part of your everyday, like that friend that you can vent to that has gone through the same demons that you've gone through, the person that you can be rageful with. And I almost want to say that this would be a really good night to plan going to like a rage room, or
Yeah.
to somehow get like maybe when I was younger, my friends used to have a drunken soccer league where they would drink beer at the park, and they would just like play soccer, and everyone would fall down, and probably a little bit dangerous, but
Yeah.
like
Yes.
something kind of reckless and hooligan-y could be good for you during this time. If not, if you're a more tame Scorpio rising, maybe this is just sitting at home with a paintbrush and listening to some heavy metal and just getting all the anger out onto the paper, like maybe drawing some black demons in your parking lot, hanging from rafters. I don't
Yeah.
know, maybe.
On the neighbor's lawn that you don't like. That's fine. It's a healthy way.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a good night to break out the new metal and just,
Yeah.
listen to that Slipknot record.
There you go. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
positive. I like that.
Or your metalcore, if you're a millennial, what was it, like the metalcore stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna listen to what is it? Hawthorne Heights.
Especially because they've got, that Saturn and Neptune transit happening through their sixth. I like to say to people with the Aries through the sixth, like, you've got to figure out a way to go to war every day.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, I have the sun and Aries in the sixth, so I go to the gym every day. And if I don't, then my anger comes out in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Take
that
some
that's solid.
MMA.
Yeah, I think that's solid advice because you gotta move that because it's
Yeah.
gonna go somewhere anyway. So you might as well work with it.
Good time to start working with Hades, guys, if you don't already. He
Yeah.
loves chocolate cake. I always say if you want to make an altar for Hades, plan like Pantera is about to come over, that he loves like Crown Royal, he loves chocolate cake, things that are decadent and a little bit of like a bring a party atmosphere. He will be so happy. He will deliver you things so quickly. So if
Amen.
there's something in your life you want to transform with this full moon, write a letter to Hades, tell him what you want to transform, leave him a little chocolate cake. You'll get what you want.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, Sagittarius rising. This is kind of a tricky one happening in the 12th house. I am just feeling like this is a good time to rest. This is a good
Yeah.
time to just, if you're feeling the burnout, don't pressure yourself to do all the things. This is a 2 week period to just let yourself isolate a little bit. I don't say that very often to people, and especially not Sag doesn't want to isolate.
No, right, right.
Sag wants to go, 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 but this is a good time to just rest, rest, rest.
Yeah, I would agree. And also, your dreams might be very therapeutic. You might get some really good insights. Make sure you write them down, try to figure them out. I use Claude AI to help me work through like the meaning of my dreams is absolutely wonderful. I've read some books on Carl Jung for it as well. So, try to maybe get some good sleep. I doubt it would be happening on this night because I think the full moon in your 12th house would disrupt that a lot, but you could be working out a lot of stuff. It's also just really, if you do hold on to any resentment or attachments or any icky feelings, because you have a Scorpio 12th house, those things do manifest for you very toxically and just create illness. So it is a good time to do any kind of ritual to let an old attachment go. If it's 5 years old, 3 weeks old, 10 years old, just really work out those kinks. But because it's the 12th house, this is more in your own world, on your own time, behind the scenes. It's not out front and center. It doesn't need other people to, you know, work its way out with you. This can be done on your own time in the privacy of your own inner world.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough because they're always so like happy, usually positive, uplifting, you know. So you get one hard full moon out of the year.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
You,
Okay. So
yeah.
we made it to Capricorn rising. This is happening in your 11th house. So I wonder if there's something happening with your social media in terms of friendships that's culminating. Maybe there's, again, there could be a difficult conversation that needs to be had, or maybe there's this a realization that, there's been some sort of intense power struggle, maybe that you weren't aware of, or maybe that's just been right under the surface that's kind of coming up.
Mm,
And maybe there's a need to really express yourself at this time. And again, creating a boundary or really hearing someone else out. And, maybe they have a different way of handling things than you do. And just having that discussion. This might have to do something with like your emotional safety or like what you have capacity for at this time, especially with all those planets in the fourth house. I'm wondering, like, you might be very overloaded, very burnt out. Like, if
yes.
you're having migraines, that would not shock me right now. Like, there's so much going on with you guys. So I wonder if there's like just like not enough time, not enough capacity to be there for other people right now. That could lead to, like, you could have like a friend that maybe feels like you're ignoring them or something like that, and like that could lead to some sort of power struggle. I also think on a more mundane level, this could be a good time to kind of clear, house in terms of your social media, or like
Yeah.
figure out like if you have silent followers, like, getting rid of the secret haters or the people who
Mm.
aren't being so supportive. Um, but yeah, there's something going on in terms of like how you interact with your friendships or your groups of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're feeling a difficult time too, like if you're changing your vision for the future, if you're changing where you're heading or what direction your life is going in, which most likely it is. I mean, Pluto left you not too long ago. It's in your second. It's not a place that Capricorn loves to have Pluto in, although it will be very powerful at the end of the transit. Um, if those things are changing though, and like those networks, groups, or communities, the visions that you're aligned with, and you do need support because the second house is challenging right now, you know, you might get support from being open to new people, new friendships, right? Reaching
Yeah.
into that eighth house. So unexpectedly, if you remain open, which is 11th house initially wants you to be open, if you remain flexible and open, then you could get support in unexpected ways.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I like that. All right, we have made it to our friends the Aquariuses. This is happening for you guys in the 10th house. This is the public perception house. This is where you go to for your career, for how other people see you, the legacy that you're building. So I wonder if there's something culminating in terms of like a work project, or in terms of if there's been a bit of a power imbalance in the workplace, or if you're trying to transform your public perception in some way, this could be a good time for, again, stating that boundary, stating, the ways in which you've changed, and you're not going to really put up with anymore. Especially those who, I'm also just thinking about the T square. I'm wondering like your role within your family, like, is that changing in some capacity? Or within your relationships, right? Like what you take on, like maybe there is a need to separate, or, uh, create a new way of being, a new role, let's say, like a new way that you're taking authority within your life, right? So
Absolutely. Yeah.
that can look like a multitude of ways. Maybe you have always been the support person in your family, like, you're a stay-at-home mom or something like that, and you're like, well, husband, I love you to death, but you're gonna have to start pulling your weight a little bit more because I'm going back to work. Or
Yes.
or maybe this is, I'm gonna quit my job so I can spend more time with my family.
Yes. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I mean, the immediate quote that came to me was from Spider-Man, and it's like, he tells Peter, he's like, with great power comes great responsibility. And
Yes.
that is your storyline for Pluto in your first house. And, a Scorpio full moon in the 10th, for me, I'm like, you can say yes or no to responsibilities with other people and commitments to other people under this. Like, you can eliminate something if you need to, because Scorpio does want to eliminate. So you can eliminate something that is maybe not serving your foundation of your life. And it could be really focused on, hey, this is not healthy because the fourth house really needs to be fourth housing. It really needs to be Taurusing. And so if there's some role that you're playing, some responsibility that you're here to, some commitment that you're adhered to right now in the 10th house, and you just can't do it because you have other responsibilities that that mission is much more bigger and greater for you, then this is kind of like a universe gives you a, hey, we're gonna let you off the hook with this one. You can let this one go. That could be a shift in power plays, and you could be triggering other people with this. They might not like you, this new embodiment of Pluto power that you'll be wearing. They might not like it, but it's better for you in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you've got Aries in the third house.
All right, where are we? We made it to Pisces.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, continue. Did you want to go on?
No, I was just gonna say that.
Sorry.
No, that's
I didn't
okay.
mean to cut you off there.
That Aries in the third house is also has the Chiron, the Eris conjunction going on.
Yes.
So you what you have to say about something might quite literally trigger somebody.
Yeah. What do you feel is like a good piece of advice if you have triggered somebody, but you know, let's give advice for maybe if it's warranted, maybe if it's not warranted.
Yeah, so it always comes back, I think, behind your motivation.
Yeah.
So if you're just like, my intention is this, and sometimes you need to explain your intentions to people. Um, I'm personally somebody who's like, oh, the worst thing is having to explain yourself to somebody, but some people just
Oh
don't know.
yeah.
And just you can explain your intention and then your thought and then leave it at that,
Yeah.
because then they can do what they will with it. You know?
Totally.
Yeah.
I think if you trigger someone, it's also okay to take a little bit of space and just back up. You know, you can explain your intention and be like, if you need a little time to process this,
Yep.
like that's okay. I'd love to like loop around and talk about this and revisit this. And don't be afraid to make like a if it's a relationship that really matters to you, don't be afraid to make a bid for connection and be like, hey, listen, like we're fighting right now, but I need you to know that I love you. And do you want to hug? What would make you feel safe in this moment?
Yep. Yep.
That's something that I think is super important. And a lot of people aren't like, if you aren't taught, a lot of us don't come from families where we're taught repair, and so we're having to like learn it later in life. So I think that that's an important thing to do, is like anytime you're arguing with someone you love and care about, it's okay to like end things with a bid for connection and just be like, we can revisit this, but I just want to let you know, like the fact that I'm having this conversation with you, or I'm putting down a boundary or whatever it is, that means I love you. I want to keep you in my life. I don't want it to get to the point where I have to cut you off. um, and so please know that this conversation is out of love. It's not meant to shame you, you know?
It's very, very admirable, yes, because Mercury in Aries right now can come off very abrasive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so just forerunning somebody with the conversation. Yeah. You
Totally.
know?
All right. So, Pisces friends, this is happening in your ninth house. So, there is something culminating in terms of your belief systems, maybe in terms of a travel opportunity, or if you're in school, this could be a schooling. Maybe there's something culminating there. Um, I'm thinking in terms of this T square, though, like it's pretty intense. There's something coming in through like the 12th house
Yeah.
with Pluto there, that's transforming your subconscious. So I wonder if there's like, some Pisces risings are, a lot of the Pisces risings have had to go through, especially because you guys have eclipses hitting you. Like
Yeah.
you're going through new identities. Like maybe that's been like a shift of where you live, and that changes like who you are because you're showing up in a new way. Maybe that's a new job that you've had to go through for the last year. That's made you like show up in a new way, or like in friendships, maybe that's been having to like develop a new system of people around you, or but I think that this is really looking at your belief systems, and it's asking you how far you've come in a way, and where that self-belief has gotten you, right? Like how have you been able to shift your beliefs and therefore change your life in some capacity, right? This is a great time to do magic. I feel like if there's something you want to shift or transform about your life, I think it's going to come from that self-belief. So that always makes a great time to like to do a little bit of magic, especially in terms of like how you want your life to grow. Like where do you want to go? Where do you want to travel? What classes do you want to take? Like what do you want to learn? What do you want to explore next?
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that, because this is a great opportunity to relieve that belief. And that belief could be attached to like a long-term traumatic situation that maybe you went through at one point with that Aquarius and the 12th. And it's really asking you to, hey, like, let's go, let's like transform this, let's release this to the gods, the goddesses, they'll take care of it, Mother Earth. You're really here to kind of show up and be this creative, magical being. And you do want to be admired through your Leo sixth house. They want that admiration coming in. So, and then they can do that if they're, continuously kind of releasing these attachments to their belief because it's such a big part for Pisces, right? Their imagination and their belief system really kind of drives them in that direction that they're going in.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I feel like this could be exciting. This is not a bad place to have a full moon. I have many Pisces risings that, again, are in my life. I'm a Virgo rising, so we always have our opposite sign. And so there has had to be a change. Like I just had a Pisces rising client that just started getting into human design, and it really like blew their mind and their connection with their body, and it's like making them aware of like a lot of health issues that they never saw before, which is very Scorpio.
Yeah.
um, so they're also sort of seeing where their beliefs have affected their health in some ways,
Yeah.
whether that's stress, what stress does to the body, or
Yeah.
whether it has been, I can't afford to do this and also take care of myself, and now as you get older, you can't put that stuff off anymore.
Right.
But I do think that there is something kind of beautiful brewing here, especially as you guys are also going to have eclipses in the fall as well.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah, that
You guys
Pi-
will become the main character.
oh yeah, the Pisces Virgo one lasts a little bit longer, doesn't it? It's like up
Hmm.
until I think there's like a Virgo one next year still. Yeah.
I think there's one more, and then we
Yeah.
are completely done. Yeah, I think there's one at like the first degree of Virgo, so there's something new beginning. That I think it's a lunar eclipse.
It's the
So yeah,
longest. It's the longest, I swear. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
There's a number of like comedians that I really love, and they always have like their sun at like 1 or 2 degrees, if not 0 degrees of Virgo. You see a lot of artists that have and like people who are very funny, who like love attention kind of thing. And so I think it's going to be a good year for Virgo risings in the arts next year. I think
Yeah.
strokes are kind of have a comeback there that is hitting Julian Casablanca's chart. Yeah, Virgos, it's your year, guys, especially in
They
the early.
deserve it. Yeah,
Yeah,
they deserve it. So,
totally. Yeah, we've been through the ringer. Yeah, I'm ready for like a release.
yeah. 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 I know.
Well, thank you so much for sticking around to the very end, guys, and thank you for being here. Makayla, where can everyone find you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. It's Miss MS underscore Makayla Davis. And then I'm also that's on Instagram and TikTok and also Embody by Mac. That's EMBODI by Mac. So I'm around, I'm on YouTube. I've got all the
Are you
things.
in meetings right now? Do you have any classes, anything to offer?
Yeah.
Excited
So
about.
yes, thank you. So I just finished a chakra course, which is the foundation to all my spiritual teachings and for my coaching clients. So it's been something that my spiritual teacher passed down to me, and he passed away last year in January. And when he passed, this course was so deep, so hardcore, transformational that, I needed to recreate it in honor of him. So I just came out with a book. I actually published it like 3 days ago on the chakra
So,
system. Yep, Uranus in my ninth. And also the course correlates to that too. So the course is like a deeper level. I've got two intro videos that teach you about the chakras in depth, but then there's a 7-part meditation series that you can listen to as transmissions.
nice.
Yeah, so. And I'm moving later this year, so I don't want to start any of my astrology formal education classes until after the move, but I post a lot of content and I do a daily horoscope offering too, audio version. So I have a Patreon. I do a nightly horoscope for the next day. You get it by midnight. It's 10 minutes long. It's just an audio, and I talk about the astrology for the next day.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Everyone go follow Makayla, and Makayla, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
With horoscopes, and I hope you join us again for horoscopes in the
Hell
future.
yeah. Yeah, girl. Yeah, absolutely. All right. I'll message you on
Yeah,
the side. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Everyone have a great evening and take care. And thank you for being a Patreon.